Last but not least, the Richard Sherman Conference, the NFC West. I know you've got allegiance to both teams, two teams in this division. The Niners, the Seahawks, both are looking really good. Who do you like coming out of the West this year?
I like the San Francisco 49ers until otherwise. Brock Purdy hasn't lost a game that he has started and finished to this day. And so I don't expect that to happen. Obviously, they need to get Nicholas John Bosa, the reigning Defensive Player of the Year, signed immediately. But unless something crazy and drastic happens with that situation, I expect their defense to be really strong with the addition of Javon Hargraves from the Philadelphia Eagles, who had a tremendous season last year. And then you got Fred Warner and Talanoa Hufanga, Diamador Lenore on one side, Travarius Ward on the other. Defensively, they're going to be really solid. Eric Armstead is still there. On the offensive side, they got some question marks on the interior D-line with Buford, and the center situation is up in flux. McKivitz at the right tackle, obviously the Pro Bowler, All-Pro, Trent Williams, best tackle in football on the left side. Brandon Ayuk is poised for a really great year, contract year. And it's time for him to put on a show and have his time. All Debo has been talking about is how much he let the team down last season, so he has a chip on his shoulder coming in. And then you got Christian McCaffrey coming off a full offseason, a full season with the team, to learn the playbook, to acclimate, to be comfortable in the space. And I think he's going to be really comfortable and really happy in the space. I'm excited to see what he's going to do with a full season under his belt. So there's a lot of hope in San Francisco, but there's a lot of hope in Seattle as well because of Geno. Geno. Pro Bowl season, looking to have an even better season with DK and Tyler. Then you got JSN from Ohio State, who's been nothing but really dynamic. He has the wrist injury right now, but all signs point to him making it back for week 1, so it's going to be an exciting time for them. Geno set a number of records. I expect him to break a number of records this year. Went to the playoffs last year. I expect that to continue. They finally got a defensive leader back, a legend in this franchise, Bobby Wagner, a legend in the league, and all his all-pros and his accolades and everything he brings to the football team. Tariq Woolen, obviously we talked about Devin Witherspoon, who they got with the 5th pick of the first round. He's going to be coming off an injury, probably not looking like he's playing week 1, but he'll help them throughout the season. Quandre Diggs, and then Julian Love. And Julian Love, when Quandre Diggs back there, that's going to make one of the best safety tandems in the National Football League. Both very smart playmaking safeties, reliable, can be interchangeable at any time. And then they're getting Jamal back. Jamal Adams is going to be back this season, and he'll have a new role with the team and a new role with that defense, and they'll put him in positions to be successful.
Well, Richard, I've watched a lot of Seattle Seahawks football over the years, obviously working with you for a decade plus now. After the Legion of Boom was gone and that nasty visit to Arizona, you with your Achilles, Cam with his neck, the Seattle Seahawks went through a murky territory of a couple of years where to me, it seems like they were missing an identity. Mm-hmm. What management has done now is rediscover their identity. I mean, they've got a trio of wideouts and DK and Tyler and JSN now. And if you guys don't know about JSN, I advise you to watch one game, and that is the Rose Bowl game against the Utah Utes. JSN put on an absolute clinic. And to me, I think he should have gone above Chris Olave if he was in the same draft as him. Probably neck and neck with Garrett Wilson, all Ohio State guys. So Seattle is about to be really nasty, Rich. And I know that you know that too. And I think the Niners are going to be in a battle for that top of the division. And I think we're going to see some fights of old between these two teams.
Oh, definitely. Division games are always tough. And I think the division games between the San Francisco 49ers and the Seattle Seahawks are going to be, they're going to be gladiated. They're going to be Goliath. And I'm looking forward to seeing those games. It'll be a lot of fun.
Rich, before we exit the division, I want to ask you one thing about the Rams. It came out Matthew Stafford having trouble connecting with the younger players on his team. I mean, what do you make of this? I mean, obviously it came from his wife's podcast, but it's kind of a big thing, especially from the quarterback, the leader of your team, to be, I guess silently saying this through his wife. What do you make of that?
I mean, it was unfortunate that she said that. I'm sure she knows that locker room talk should not be, especially, bedroom talk shouldn't be talked about in the public. And, I mean, she said that. She said she regretted it. Worst thing she could do. She said she's talked about women when they made headlines talking about football and their husbands, that it's a distraction. But I think it'll end up galvanizing the team. I think Sean McVay will use it as a joke. The young guys will probably react well and start to come together and support their teammate and get off their phones a little bit because they probably shouldn't be on them that much anyway. So I don't think it's that big a deal.
Well, all right, Rich. So that's that. We've locked in the divisional winners. I want to talk about playoffs now. Who do you think is going to be coming out of the AFC and who's coming out of the NFC?
Out of the AFC this year, I mean, I think you got to go with Kansas City Chiefs as your obvious pick, but my sleeper pick will be the Jets. I just don't know if they can pull it all together in the first year of A-Rod. I think they make a really fun run and make it exciting, but I think the Kansas City Chiefs will end up coming out of the AFC again. Joe Burrow will have something to say about that, but hopefully they can keep him upright more this year. But Kansas City's a safe pick.
And how about the NFC?
The NFC, I got the Niners. I got the Niners finally pulling it off and doing it for Kyle again. It's the first time since 2019, which isn't that long ago. But pulling it off this year, having good health, a lot of playmakers, and that D-line being as ferocious and as aggressive as ever and causing a lot of problems for a lot of teams.
Who is your Super Bowl champion? We got the Niners against the Chiefs, a matchup we've seen before. Richard, can the Niners pull this one off?
I think the Niners finally find a way to get it done this time. I think they find a way to make plays down the stretch and contain Pat Mahomes the way they did for 3 1/4 quarters in the Super Bowl in 2019. They can finally close the door and finish that, and Kyle can get a lot of his haters off his back.
Your MVP pick on the season?
My MVP pick on the season, ooh, that's tough. It's always the quarterbacks, these dang quarterbacks. Just wish they take the quarterbacks out of it. Joe Burrow wins his first.
Okay. How about defensive player of the year? Is it Nicholas John Bosa?
He's going to be in it, Mitchell. I have a hard time thinking it's going to be any different. I mean, hopefully he comes into the season ready and in shape. This contract situation is the only thing that I could see changing my opinion about that, because them having Javon Hargraves and still Eric Armstead, they're not going to be able to double Nicholas John Bosa the way they would want to. That D-line is going to be too ferocious. But Micah Parsons will also be in that discussion, as he has been. They're saying he's playing more defensive line exclusively. So Nicholas John Bosa, Mitchell. I got to go Nicholas John Bosa. You got to support your guys.
Every year we see it. Every year there's a worst to first. I mean, every year there's a team that just comes out of nowhere. I mean, the Eagles last year, making it all the way to the Super Bowl. Is there a team that you see that is going to shock the landscape of the NFL? Who's your surprise team?
Well, I mean, it's not a surprise because everybody's saying it, but they're going to be a team that didn't make the playoffs last year and were under 500, the Jets, that made a way into it. I think a team that could potentially make some noise just because they're in a really bad division and they can shake some stuff up, young quarterback. Maybe the Houston Texans, just because that division's so bad. D'Amico Ryan's coming in. They got a really good left tackle. They have some playmakers there to do some things, especially defensively. Derek Stingley has shown real growth this season, played a full season last year and played really solid, and I think he takes the next step this year. So there's talent on both sides of the ball for that team, and I think they can sneak up on some people and just, not worst to first or anything crazy like that playoffs, but I think it'll be a lot different than what people were expecting from them.